Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today we have another quarterfinal matchup. This is round 3 of the quarterfinals for the quest for King Civivi. We have the Dogma versus the Elementum. I'm kind of excited about this matchup because I personally, I will tell you outright, like the Dogma over the Elementum. That's not to say that the Elementum has great qualities or doesn't have great qualities, one's better than the other, or the Elementum's going to lose or win. That just means that I like the Dogma better, and it is going up against the heavy-hitting Elementum. If the Elementum loses this whole thing, I am probably going to catch so much backlash because it's like the best Civivi knife out there, according to everybody. Take that for what you will. All right. So we are sitting at, sorry, I got a phone call, threw me off, shit. The Elementum versus the Dogma. We are currently sitting, shit, my mind just went blank. All right, so we have 7 different factors. We have aesthetics, ergonomics, quality, fidget factor, blade, carry, and value. I'm going to grade each and every knife on these same factors. Some of them subjective, some of them are open for discussion. Not really for my videos. You can openly discuss them below, but you know, I know a lot of this is subjective and you could spin a lot of these. I am trying to stay objective as possible with all these. And as you noticed, I've even knocked off some of my favorites just because the matchups they went against sucked for them. So, I mean, my backlash and Durus should have never been out of the equation, but it was. Moving on. Aesthetics. To me, in my personal expert at nothing opinion, despite the aesthetics that I did to these Elementum, which I think actually looks pretty fucking cool, but despite what I did, I have to go off of the regular Elementum, and realistically, guys, I'm sorry. That Dogma looks fucking sweet. There is something aesthetically hugely appealing about this Dogma. It's just the shape of the blade. It's got this weird Bowie kind of clip point style blade going for it. Whatever they list on Blade HQ, that's just kind of the way I see it. This is a pretty standard, straightforward EDC. Awesome, a lot of things, but aesthetics, I have to give it to this. This would look scary to somebody if it wasn't so not large. I mean, the Dogma itself is it's a like 3.4 inch blade. It's not a scary looking knife, but it has that kind of like just I'm a badass feel to it. Whereas the other guy is just like, hey, I'm a jogger and I jog every day. That's just the way I look at these two. So a lot of workout references when I'm getting fatter than hell. Oh, too much information. Aesthetics going to the Dogma, guys. Ergonomics. This feels great in hand. This feels okay. The feel of this, ergonomically, I don't feel any hot spots. The flipper tab, let's see if it's one of Civivi's. It's not, the flipper tab isn't annoying, but it has some pretty strong jimping on there. Now, the Elementum, on the other hand, the flipper tab is very similar. It has the strong jimping on the tip, so you can feel that pretty well. This position feels great. This position, let's see here. I can get a full 4 finger on there, but my pinky's kind of off here. Realistically, I think just by the fact that I can hold this knife like this comfortably and you can see knife coming out the bottom or handle coming out the bottom, whereas when I grab this, I'm trying to, like, I feel like I'm squished doing this, but when I grab this, if you look, let's see here, that's what's left from my pinky. That's me squishing my fingers. Naturally sitting, let's do this. Naturally sitting, I guess it's not too bad because naturally I just picked it up like that and you can see it's pretty close. I'm kind of torn on ergonomics. They feel very similar. I love this forward finger choil, but like I talked about within the last video, this finger choil in the front's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not a full finger choil. Maybe that's why I'm going to give it to the Dogma again for the ergonomics. I think the Dogma's forward finger choil and the choke-up position are much more comfortable than the Elementum. That does not mean the Elementum has bad ergonomics by any stretch of the imagination. It is just, in my opinion, the Dogma is a better ergonomically designed knife. I'm writing these down as I go so I can keep score too. Quality feel. I kind of made my decision on this already, just playing with these two. The Elementum's G10, I mean, it feels good. There's nothing that feels not quality about this knife. And I will say, this knife almost feels like, when I was talking about the Durus, this knife almost feels like it has a better quality feel than the Durus, because it's something about the solid. I know it has milled pocket line or milled liners. This has milled liners too, but this feels really stiff. And I don't know if it's because the liners are, let's see here. The liners seem like they're a little bit thicker on this. I don't know that they actually are, but nothing about this knife feels like a lack of quality. I can't really compare the centering on these two. I know that this came perfectly centered and then I fucked it up. This one, I haven't done anything to, perfectly centered. So, you know, I don't want to seem like a Dogma fanboy, because I told you guys that I like the Dogma better than I like the Elementum. But realistically, the Dogma even feels like a higher quality. It feels like a dense but small piece. There's something when you have it in your hands, it just feels like like you could almost swap it out for titanium and charge $200 more for this Dogma. Like, that's how I feel about the Dogma. As you can tell, I kind of didn't like it as much because it was competing with my Backlash. But, you know, full disclosure, when I went to sell all these knives, I think the Dogma is one of the few that I chose not to sell, along with my Backlash. Those might have been the only two. So, quality feel is also going to the Dogma. You know, if you guys don't agree with me, that's fine. But if you continue watching these videos, then, you know, I don't really care if you agree with me or not. I appreciate you watching them, etc., etc., etc. But every review is going to come from a little bit of bias. It's going to have a little bit of subjective feel to it. You're getting my thoughts, right? And I am doing this as objectively as possible, and my thoughts are, up to this point, the Dogma has won all three. Let's go to fidget factor. If you guys can already guess, just by the virtue of the fact that I can do that, this almost takes the cake right away. Now, did you have to really train your hands because this is a smaller finger hole to kind of flipper hole? Yes. But my God, is this thing's action probably, for having a smaller blade, I'm going to venture to say that this is one of the best actions that Civivi has. And I understand that they're probably all the same, right? Like, this is great. But it's accentuated by virtue of the fact that the blade is so heavy. You know, this one has just as heavy of a blade, maybe a little bit less than the Dogma. And again, don't compare this action to this one because I haven't rehabbed this one back to life completely. But, and again, I'm not selling, FYI guys, I am not selling the knives that I totally butchered, like my Durus and my Elementum. I butchered those. I'm not selling those. It's not because I want to hang on to them. It's just that I fucked them up and I couldn't realistically hand them off to somebody. But, yeah, you know, the fidget factor, once again, going to the Dogma. And if you haven't noticed by now, that's 4 of the 7 categories going to the Dogma. So you know who wins. So feel free to shut off this video now. I'm going to rip through the last 3 just to give my full thoughts on these two. But that's where you're going. The blade. These are both D2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, these are both D2. They both have a hollow grind. The blade on the Elementum probably being this drop point, you know, semi-spear looking. It's actually pretty much a drop point, you know. Versus this Bowie / clip point, and I may be off by terminology or whatever, but you guys get the point. I feel like this is a more functional blade. Does that mean it's more slicey or anything like that? No, I don't think so. But do I feel like it's more functional? Yes, I feel like the Elementum holds a more functional situation. Not to mention, while the Dogma's blade, I absolutely love this for this size of knife, that tip is much more dainty than this tip, just by virtue of design. So to kind of throw the Elementum a bone here, not on purpose, the usefulness of the two same style blades, like same style, not style, same material blades, they both come in a satin finish, not this one, because again, I fucked it up, but I have to give the blade to the Elementum. Not that there's more blade to work with, that it seems more of a practical blade. When you're trying to cut with this big belly here, and you're cutting straightforward things, you have a tendency, when I'm cutting, to just kind of drop off at this point. Whereas this one has this gradual curve that you can use like the whole way. Not saying you can't use this, it's just the way that I cut. I have to give that blade to the Elementum. Do I like the style of the blade better on the Dogma? Yeah, I think it looks way cooler. Usefulness, I have to give it to the Elementum there. Carry. Now, if this was anything else other than the Elementum, McKenna, or Exarch, I would have to give this to the Dogma. I mean, the Dogma, as you can see, is almost comparable with the Elementum, or the Elementum itself. You know, I mean, it's much longer, but the thinness and the sleekness of this knife is fantastic. Once again, Dogma fanboy. The carry is going to go to the Elementum. I mean, the Elementum, you don't get much of a better carry other than the McKenna or Exarch or maybe the Chronic than the Elementum. It is a straightforward, perfectly fitting pocket knife, perfectly sized. The ratios on that are just great. So once again, Elementum is getting the carry. Kind of going through my notes really quick. Believe this or not, which is a stupid statement because you guys can look this up. This is $50. Where's that? I'm going to give you exact. I looked this up right before this video. $50.15 for the Elementum. The Dogma is going for $47.75. Literally 30 cents. What is that? $2.30 more. Hey, you know, you. Oh, shit. I'm going to give it to the Dogma just because it's $2.30 cheaper. But they're both fantastic, you know, and neither one really outshines the other when it comes to, you know, if you're going to give a value over a value. I mean, value-wise, you're getting a lot for both. For the $2.30 more, it sounds so petty. I have to give it to the Dogma just by virtue of the fact that it's cheaper, and there's nothing that really distinguishes these two value-wise. They're both G10, they're both D2, they're both, one's about 3 inches, the other one's like 3 1/4 inches long blade shit. You know, it just, and they're both like almost this, like an almost shadow boxed type. This is much more shadow boxed with the G10. Yeah, you know, the value is going to the Dogma for $2.30. Take that or fucking leave it. You know, that's dumb. But so for all of you Elementum fanboys out there, I apologize. I know that this is a badass knife. I'm not knocking this off because I like my Dogma more. I'm knocking this off because based on the criteria that I was grading it on and how I came to those conclusions, the Dogma feels like a better knife. Now, that's even a bad way to put it. Better knife based on my criteria, right? Again, take that or leave it. That this is my show. I love saying that, but I hate saying it. It sounds so arrogant. But realistically, it's me. It's my subjective views, trying to be objective with a lot of things. I apologize if there's bias, but the Dogma beats the Elementum for me on these criteria that we're grading it on. Now, if you had different criteria or less criteria, you know, that may be swung the other way. But based on the way this tournament's going and the criteria that it is, Dogma takes it down, guys. This knife scared me because it was supposed to take down the backlash. And the longer I have it, I can see that happening. As you can see, the backlash is out of the tournament, but the Dogma still stands. Thank you guys for watching so much. Sincerely. If you guys like the video, all that happy horse shit, you know, fucking subscribe, like, whatever, leave a comment, tell me to go screw myself. That's cool too. Any publicity is good publicity, right? No, seriously though, thank you guys for watching. Those of you that stuck around for the 15 minutes, I appreciate it. I hope you guys were entertained by this. I'm kind of a scatterbrain all over the place. As you can see, let me show you guys. This is my notes. This is my scorecard. And I went and looked up my notes, didn't have anything to write with. You can't even read it. It's freaking highlighter. I am going off of my knowledge of these knives based on the reviews, based on carrying them, based on what I know about knives. And so, you know, that's why this is so freeform, relatively scatterbrained type of situation. It's just that realistically, I don't have a plan going into these. I told you guys in the introduction video that I'm going to be organic, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to be organic with everything I do. There's one video I have to try and chop up. That's going to be rough. But point of the matter being, thank you guys so much for watching the Civivi Dogma round 3 of the quarterfinals. We have one more matchup, the X-Arc versus the McKenna coming up. That is a hard one. I've been putting that off because it's kind of hard. But these have all been kind of difficult as you got to the quarterfinals. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. Stay sharp, stay safe. Have a great day. Thanks.